Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Newscast in the English language on Canal the International. It's exactly at 6:15. I'm called Maureen Theatre. Sorry. Ports of management in West and Central Africa have begun meeting in Cameroon's economic city Douala for a 5-day meeting to brainstorm on the strategies that could enhance port sustainability through the new technology. And the Cameroonian population is called upon to reinforce the practice of COVID-19 preventive measures in order to avoid the arrival of the new variant coronavirus. And 40 days to the African Cup of Nations, which kicks off January 9 in Cameroon, the atmosphere in markets in the economic city Douala is gradually changing colors, with football lovers. Good evening once more. Port management in West and Central Africa have begun meeting Cameroon's economic city Douala for a 5-day meeting to brainstorm on strategies that could enhance port sustainability through the new technology. The meeting falls within the framework of the 41st Annual Council of the Port Management Association of West and Central Africa. As we end the following story with Gladys Ambo.
To ensure sustainability of seaports, facilitate trade, reduce time of waiting, and enhance delivery of goods, ports in West and Central Africa must embrace the new technology. Member states of the Port Management Association in West and Central Africa meeting for their 41st Annual Council meeting in Douala this November 29, 2021. Are discussing ways through which digitalized ports could enhance efficiency, especially with the health crisis that has affected port activities.
Even before COVID, digitalization was necessary. But when COVID came, and we had to stay in our homes and still be able to work and ensure that logistics and cargoes continue to flow, then digitalization became more important. Where you, from your home, you should be able to work remotely, communicate with ships, get cargoes to be cleared through the ports, make payments through your bank, and ensure that cargoes are cleared to the port within the quickest possible time without using COVID as a reason. And that really helped us. Without it, we would have had ships queuing in the ports without leaving, cargo sitting in the port terminals without leaving. It will choke. Populations will be hungry because goods cannot move. And by so doing, we don't know what the world would have been today if we were not digitalized in our various ports.
In West and Central Africa, 1/3 of ports have been digitalized, and these include ports in Cameroon. Member states will for 4 days therefore share experiences and learn new models for port efficiency.
We have 6 ports in Nigeria. So we have digitalized too. The access control as well as the traffic management remains the other 4. Then the next issue is having a software that both the Nigerian Customs and Nigerian Port Authority and other stakeholders will use as a stand-alone software, only one software that will carry all the industry alone.
Stakeholders in port management have been doubling efforts to overcome challenges of piracy, insecurity and sustainability, with one of the resolutions for digitalized ports to exchange data. The ports of Lobito, Angola, was selected to host the pilot project of the single window for facilitation and trade, whereby ports of member states of the Association of Ports Management in West and Central Africa will exchange information electronically for a harmonious and smooth service delivery.
And we take you to Garoua in the north region of Cameroon, where training on human rights defenders has taken place. Human rights defenders in that part of the country were taught on new mechanisms to overcome violations against the activities in human rights defense. More on that story with William Fru.
Human rights defenders operating in the north region of Cameroon have been armed with the necessary tools to better carry out their assignment. They met in Garoua under the auspices of the civil society.
The objective of this workshop is to train human rights defenders in the 10 regions of the country. We've already done 8 regions, so today it's the 10 of the region of the north. We realize that human rights defenders, they do a lot of work in protecting and defending the rights of others. But who protects their rights, So we felt that it was necessary to train them on their own protection. And their own protection is both physical, online, digital protection also, and physical protection. We felt it was necessary for them to understand the political and legal reality of the country. You cannot be a human rights defender without understanding the reality of your country and the reality from a political and a legal perspective.
With human rights violations on a persistent rise in the northern region of Cameroon, the organization think the training will help curb the sowing abuses.
We are here today for a workshop that is aimed with the protection of human rights defenders. Human rights it's a universal aspect, it's an inalienable right, it's an inherent aspect, and as such, that is why it's very important for persons to understand the rights and equally know what human rights defenders are. And looking and knowing very well our context, be it our cultural context, our political context, and our social context, some issues were discussed or some issues were trained on, or the participants were drilled on some issues.
Thus, the participants who came from far and near were taught the different methods through which they can be protected when defending human rights violations.
The Seoul community converged in Yaoundé this weekend to listen to a new message of peace and prosperity from their phone that WHO has called on the Seoul indigenes to remain united more than ever before, a moment to strive towards reconstructing our community that has been shattered by the ongoing crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. More on the story with Hyson Chia.
In thousands, sons and daughters of Nso in a typical cultural and traditional mood, a moment of communion with their paramount ruler, Fonsam Binglo II, who gathered his children this weekend in Yaoundé for a new peace building and prosperity covenant.
The take-home message, the phone has made it abundantly clear that he is starting a new covenant with his people, and he wants that he is there because of the people, and the people are there because of him. And that he wants them to start with a new covenant in such a way that so should grow from strength to strength.
The massive turnout to listen to the fatherly message, elites rejoice, is already a sign of working towards the same direction for the good of the entire community.
I'm really very happy because, you see, the people who are here, they are from all over the country and some from diaspora. And standing behind the phone means that they have kept aside their division, and they are focusing now on their unity and what they can do together to improve the Seoul. And I think that that covenant that the phone has said, just announced, is already in practice as everybody's here.
The Seoul indigenes in a solemn church service during the event were also challenged by Reverend Tatamboy to keep their rich identity, remain noble, and exercise solidarity towards one another to maximize the numerous opportunities at their disposal. It was also a deep moment of joy in traditional rhythms.
And the Cameroonian population is called upon to reinforce COVID-19 preventive measures in order to avoid the arrival of the new variants of coronavirus. The variant is already in circulation in countries like South Africa, Botswana, and many others, with a strong deadline affords. More in the following story with our student John Lissing Yaoundé.
Omicron, new coronavirus variant declared by the World Health Organization, with a large number of mutation and increase in reinfections risk. It was first reported to the World Health Organization from South Africa on November 24th and has been identified in Botswana, Belgium, Hong Kong, and Israel. As a result, a number of countries around the world have banned and restricted travel to and from South Africa. Cameroon too, as one, has taken measures to prevent the arrival and contamination of these new variants.
Nous appelons les Camerounais à se faire vacciner massivement pour préparer la route à la
We call on Cameroonians to get vaccinated to completely block the way for the transmission and circulation of the virus. We have already alerted our health units at the borders and the airports like Yaoundé and Douala for the preventive measures to be reinforced.
Pour que les mesures soient beaucoup plus renforcées.
With the arrival of the heavy delegations from different countries in January, additional measures have been mobilized to keep the situation under control.
Nous pensons tout de suite que si s'avère nécessaire,
we are equally thinking that if the situation becomes serious, we can go back to quarantine of 24 or 48 hours so that we will be able to have the test results, or those who are coming and already contaminated be isolated and treated before re-interacting with others.
Many Cameroonians are still ignorant of the new variant.
Jamais, je suis pas au courant. Jamais entendu.
This comes barely months after the Delta variant, which appeared to be more deadly than the previous ones.
And we still talk about the government bilingual high school Ekondo Titi massacre, which left at least 4 students dead, 4 students and a teacher dirt. But we focus on survivors, most of whom are still to recover from the shock and trauma. The Minister of Secondary Education went visiting survivors in Limbe over the weekend. More on this story with Ines Ondwambala.
Here are the survivors of the GBHS Ekondo Titi massacre. There are 4 in total, 3 boys and 1 girl, all receiving medical attention at the Limbe Regional Hospital. They cheated death as suspected separatist fighters stormed their school campus recently, shot and killed 4 persons, including 1 female teacher and 3 students. Secondary Education Minister Nalova Lyonga traveled to Limbe to comfort the survivors of the Ekondo Titi carnage who sustained several injuries.
The hospital is super clean. You can virtually eat in this hospital. It gives great comfort to the family members. It gives great comfort to those of us who live in Limbe.
A visit saluted by members of the educational community.
Yes, I am. Look at the camera. We want to appreciate the president of this country and the here and this hospital authority that have been of tremendous help for the recovery of our.
The Ekondo Titi tragedy has continued to be at the center stage, and human rights activists have been condemning atrocities recorded in the crisis hits.
I didn't expect that we would get to a level where we would attack schools and killing 4 children. This is a crime against humanity. It's a war crime. Those who committed these heinous crimes, if arrested, should be brought to face the arm of the law. This culture of impunity must end in this country. There needs to be accountability, and let everyone who is involved in this conflict, who is abusing his or the rights of others, that someday they would be prosecuted and face the wrath of the law.
The population of the Southwest region say enough is enough. Killings must.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Newscast on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. We have news in the French language at exactly this level. Senkan will arrange this Lenkanga, but coming up next is the brief with Boban Gomna. So me will be back same time tomorrow. Good night.